Schrute Farms. Welcome to another Sims 4 speed build. This is Megan, aka Simply Simmer, and today I'm doing a speed build of Schrute Farms from The Office. This ended up being a really cool build, so make sure to stick through to the very end to get the full walkthrough. If this is your first time seeing one of my videos, I rebuild houses and buildings from TV shows and movies on The Sims 4. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to my channel so you can see your favorite show here in the future. Speaking of favorite shows, if you haven't noticed by now, The Office is my favorite show. There are so many great inside jokes that run throughout the entire series, and it just gets funnier every time I watch it. Schrute Farms is shown on two different episodes, the first being the episode that Jim and Pam stay the night at Schrute Farms' bed and breakfast. The second is when Dwight's Aunt Shirley passes away and they perform the ceremonious Schrute Funeral at the farm. I mostly used the bed and breakfast episode as a reference point for this. However, if you noticed in the walkthrough, I did hide a casket in honor of dear Aunt Shirley. There were two things I struggled with on this build, the first being the roof. On the actual house, the second story uses a lot of half walls and angled ceilings. I didn't really have a way to make that happen in the game, so I had to get somewhat creative as far as the roof goes. The second struggle was the fact that Schrute Farms is supposed to have 9 bedrooms. I tried looking at the floor plan 100 different ways, but there was no way I could actually fit 9 bedrooms in this house unless they were extremely tiny. I did end up fitting 9 beds though, so I think it was a pretty good compromise. I edited out a lot of my adjustments, but you'll see several times throughout the video where I'm resizing room shapes and sizes to try to make everything work. It was a very confusing floor plan, but I eventually got it down. As I'm putting together the rooms inside the house, I wanted to give you guys a quick reminder that I do have a Facebook page and an Instagram account. Make sure to follow me because not only do I post updates on new videos and Sims news, I also create Sims-related memes that are sure to give you a laugh. The only rooms shown on the first floor in the episode are the living room and the kitchen. The living room has two different sides to it, one being a sitting area where Dwight talks to Jim and Pam about their room themes being irrigation, America, or nighttime. The other side is seen more in the funeral episode where they gather around the TV to find out that the farm has been left for Dwight. The living room has an old-timey classic farmhouse feel to it. The couches are old and worn, but it still has an oddly charming feel to it, as long as you don't think about Mose hiding in the corner. When I was drawing out the original floor plan, I couldn't decide if I wanted to bring in the corner or not. It's actually a very small piece that cuts into the living room on the show, and I didn't think it was worthy of a full grid square originally. Then once I started putting the living room together, I decided that it definitely needed it, so I put it in. Dwight has a board that he pulls down from the wall and uses it as a writing table for his notebook. I recreated it by building a wall outward, adding a shelf, and then deleting the wall behind it so it sticks out rather than being placed on these outer walls. Then I placed a lamp on the shelf around the corner and topped off the shelf with a notebook and some stationery tools. The other half of the living room continues the antique-like feel with antiquated artwork and older style furniture. I do come back later to add the big tube TV. Moving upstairs, we have the irrigation room that Jim and Pam stay in. There's several different pipes throughout the room, and it's here that we learn that Schrute Farms has gone completely wireless. That is, until Dwight finds where Mose hid all the wires. There really isn't much to this room other than beds and pipes. Earlier in the episode, Dwight mentions that king and queen beds are unavailable because Schrute Farms makes their own mattresses that do not conform to modern-sized mattresses. Twin beds, or the closest thing to a twin bed, are available. One of the biggest attractions is the 200-year-old mattress, which was likely used during the Battle of Schrute Farms. Now we're jumping back down into the kitchen. A fun fact about this house is that the set was also used in Season 1, Episode 3 of Sons of Anarchy. Since there weren't great angles of this room in The Office, I used that episode to get a better look at the kitchen. I made sure to use the old wood-burning stove as well as the vintage icebox refrigerator in here to complete the old farmhouse aesthetic. Back in the living room, Dwight has a shelf above the fireplace that houses all of his Dundie awards. He also has a mounted wolf head here, but there aren't any in the game. Instead, I used a mounted wolf eelfish, which I know isn't the same, but wolf is still in the title. On the side of the kitchen, there's a big round dining table where the Beet wine classes are held. I used a kava bowl from The Sims 4 Island Living for that. Now back upstairs and into the private room / Dwight's room. This is where Jim approaches Dwight in the middle of the night because he hears weird moaning or crying sounds coming from the room. Dwight doesn't acknowledge it and just thanks Jim for bringing it to the attention of management, then goes back to petting his doll. There wasn't an all-white doll in the game, so I placed a porcelain rabbit next to his bed instead. I also placed the largest computer available to represent Dwight's silver iMac. If you're enjoying this speed build so far, make sure to hit the like button and leave a comment with your favorite Dwight Schrute moment. Or if you haven't seen The Office yet, leave a comment with a thing you'd like most for a future Sims expansion pack. The next room is the America room. This room, along with the nighttime room, is never shown during the episode. We only get a glimpse of the door when Pam is walking around at night and sees Mose using the outhouse. I used red, white, and blue furniture in this room, and of course I only used a single bed to stick to the true Schrute way. I didn't really know where to go with the nighttime theme, so I went along the lines of just plain creepy. I put scratches and holes on the walls and placed different cobwebs to give this room a spooky vibe. The plant in the corner is only made of sticks, so it just has an overall dead feel to it. The last room was very simple and just comprised of 3 military-style beds. I figured this could be where that 200-year-old mattress is stored. Out in the yard, I tried to fit as many things as I could within this lot. Since I didn't place any plumbing indoors and there's clearly an outhouse on the premises, I built a little outhouse and I made sure to put a sink and a shower there as well, just in case you'd like to download this from the Sims 4 gallery and have your Sims live here. In the front of the house, I placed a dirt and gravel pathway and lined it with some various grasses and flowers. Up against the front porch, I used a woohoo bush because not only did it look good there, but since there aren't any beds available to woohoo in, your Sims will have a place to do the deed. In the back, I utilized the debug menu a ton. I was able to recreate the idea of a beet farm and made sure to place the wheelbarrow full of manure that Mose and Dwight start throwing at each other. The fence pieces are also from the debug menu, and I used these rather than a regular fence because I liked the tattered look to them. At some point, the game stopped recording on me at the end, so I lost footage of placing Aunt Shirley's casket. On the bright side, there wasn't really a whole lot to it other than just being a casket in a hole. Last, I put a barn together on the back corner, which brings us to the end of this speed build. Make sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe if you haven't yet. See you all later!